Hello, everyone, and it is Thursday night. We're running a little late this evening, so apologies from all of us here at Online Oval Racing. But you are here. It's Thursday night, and tonight we are going to be at Hednesford Hills for week number 3 of the Online Oval Racing National Hot Rod Competition. So you join me in our little virtual commentary box with some familiar voices. You guys will recognize them all from last week. I have Sarah Austin and Dom Brock in here with me. Guys, say hello.
Good evening, one and all. I can see we've already got some comments flying in YouTube and Facebook, so thanks for your interaction already, guys. We'll get through as many comments as we can during the evening. Evening to you as well, Dom.
Evening, Sarah. Good to be with you again. Looking forward to tonight. Hednesford, one of my favourite tracks. Good close racing expected tonight, and with some of the drivers and talent we saw last week, it's going to be exciting to see how they all get on.
Definitely one that we've been looking forward to. There's also been a lot of new people who have joined up this week, which is going to be an interesting one. It's going to potentially throw a few curveballs into the mix. Now, guys, if you didn't realise, we are broadcasting tonight. We are live on our Facebook page, and we are also live on YouTube. So you guys who have your smart tellies and want to watch us in full glorious 1080 resolution on your telly, you can find us on YouTube on both platforms. Just have a search for Online Oval Racing, and you should be able to find us there. Now, we're sticking to a similar format that we did last week. Sarah, I'll let you go on. I'll let you take everyone through how we're going to run things.
Thanks, Gab. So yeah, just to remind everybody, if you've not, if you have been watching before on the previous 2 heats, or if you haven't, for those of you who are new, and we welcome you. So we have heats 1 to 6. Then each driver gets 2 heats to compete, and they are drawn as they were last week from their coloured groups, as you'd normally see on oval track racing. After the heat 6, we will have final B, which will be the bottom 20 competitors from 21 downwards. And then final A will be the top 20, and also a golden ticket comes from the winner of final B. So that should be an interesting one for final B, to see who can win that race to get themselves on the back of the grid for final A, which will be our finale for the evening. Do you want to take us through Heat 1, Dom? Do you want to take the white group and we'll read through some grids?
Right.
Sure thing. Let's just bring them up. So, um, we've got a, I say, mostly fresh lineup on the white grade side of things. On pole position, we have Ben Kennelly, 210. I'm going to apologise in advance for all pronunciations of the names here. We've got Kian O'Sullivan, 136, alongside him. Then we have Adam Cochrane, 434. Wilkes, treble one, comes after. And then rounding out the white grades is Nikki, 97.
So for our yellows this evening, front of the pack is a man who's well known around the National Hot Rod Grid. He these days helps out Gavin Murray, but was a former national hot rod racer in his day. Mark Peck, Pecky 412. Lining up alongside him on the front of the yellows is Jordan Vovinkel, so we welcome our European competitors also. Crusher Chrome, who is not Mark, but the son of, so apologies, Mark, for last week's comment. Crusher Chrome 66 and AS Racing 32 round off your yellow group.
After that, at the front of the blues, we have J. Hammond, 50. And then beside him, we have one of the more experienced drivers on the grid, was out there last week, Willie Hardy. Behind him, and the next position, we've got Wayne Woolsey, 950, obviously very big heritage and family name there. And next to him, we have 152, Sean Taylor, taking up the final position in the blue grades.
So to welcome our red racers for this Heat 1. Racer has been in the last two rounds as well. So Jan Kilansky 193, And then we welcome back Adam Maxwell. Unfortunately, he was due to be on the grid last week, but had some issues, so unfortunately couldn't join in last week. But we welcome Adam Maxwell back, former world champion in real life. He'll be in 176, and in familiar colours to those of you who follow him on real life racing. Then rounding off the reds is Cami 143.
And so to the final section, we've got Superstock 144, which I believe is Lewis Willisey. He had a good run out last week. After that, we've got Ricky Slater 102. Behind him, we have the newly crowned. Well, he won the virtual speed weekend earlier on this week, so he's had some good racing between the last league race. It's Derek Martin 20. All know him around here. And rounding out the Heat 1 superstars is Sean 11.
So that's our grids, and I think the guys are out on track at the moment, just finishing off with some lining up. So let's just jump over, and we'll see what we can see there. Sorry, I have to apologise as well. A few people may have noticed that we were having a few issues with the grid scrolling through. In fact, we're having a few issues full stop this evening. We can go over to and watch the guys lining up, but it does look like we are having some issues with our timing board again, which is not ideal.
Okay, we're ready for a start, and off they go. The first race of the evening, Heat 1.
So we
Okay,
may
seem to have a problem with some pictures, but we've got Ben Keneally, looks like he's in the lead. With Adam Cochrane in second place now.
There we go, they're underway. Technical gremlins, just to keep us on our toes this evening.
We get there in the end.
Exactly.
But, the white grade's getting away fine. Not too difficult tonight. I think there's no big drastic difficulties at Hednesford. There's the inside rumble strips, but there's no static tyres like at Vauxhall where you could go absolutely flying. Hopefully this will be a good night for most of the drivers, a good clean night. No hill, well, there is a slight incline up the centre of the track, but hopefully we won't see any drivers there this evening. Side-by-side battle that we're looking at now.
There's Johnny Hammond in the 50 car there. Let's give you a little static view of what's happening on this corner as Pecky's gone round.
Yeah, Pecky's just been told by the admins just to be careful as he rejoins. Obviously, the faster cars are coming through with Adam Cochrane, our leader still.
Poor Pecky, will he ever have some good luck in these races? He's had some difficulties throughout his time and not really managed to get any solid points on the board over the last 2 rounds either. Another spin in the centre there around the home straight. I'm not sure who that was.
That looked like Wayne Wolsey that was involved in that one. So let's go back and watch the pack here. That's Yannick Kalansky in the 193 car. And Lewis Willisey just outside of him. Ricky Slater inside in the 102. Derek Martin tucked in behind that group as well.
A little bit of congestion for Derek Martin to deal with, but that shouldn't be too difficult for him. Obviously, having really proven himself earlier on in the week, he's now looking to do it again today.
So your leaders are now on lap 10. Your leader is still Adam Cochrane. He has got almost a 2-second gap to Cian O'Sullivan, who's in second.
So I have to rely on you a little bit for the timings while we just call what's happening with the racing, as we are still with this group that we see here. Yannick Kalansky, Lewis Willisey, Ricky Slater in behind him. That looks like Tommy Crone that the guys are going past, and Sean Jacklin in the yellow and blue 11 car.
He's come right from the back, so he's got a good start there. He's obviously up with the red graded drivers.
And that's a bit of carnage there. That's Pecky involved in that again.
Difficult to say who else almost got caught up there,
So
but there was
see if we
definitely
can
another
catch
car in the
that.
centre.
That's Pecky on the infield. That's Wayne Wolsey in the 950 car.
He'd
And
already had a spin earlier in the race, so he's pretty much out of the points at this time. I think
that's
I'll stop there.
Tommy Crome in the 566 car. Hasn't affected this battle too much, which is good.
Of course, the good thing about Hednesford is there's plenty of runoff on the infield, so if anyone does get into trouble, there is plenty of runoff area.
It's a nice wide track, so we should have plenty of places for passing. That's one of the newer cars that was getting up on the rumble strips there and going around the wrong way.
Some of the white graders learning the hard way that you don't get in the way of some of the star graders and the red graders today.
Just see Ricky Slater in 4th place there. He's done really well to come through from the superstar guy. Sorry, just reading superstock. From the back there, Ricky Slater started behind him. Was just looking at the grid server.
So that's got to be.
Okay, and that's a finish. That is a finish.
I was about to say that that's got to be the final result there. So we should be able to bring you some results. Oh, it'd help if I didn't send the camera flying off in all sorts of different directions.
Well, at least we know where the first aid box is. I've actually been in there to go and retrieve my husband, or he wasn't my husband in those days, who'd knocked himself out in between turns 3 and 4 in his Legend, I think it was.
I was going to say, is this going to be a story that he's particularly going to want us to tell?
Well, no, he claimed when the marshals went to him that he hadn't knocked himself out, and he was in fact just checking if his shoelace was still done up on his racing boots, because his head was, I think, looking at his navel.
It's never a particularly good situation to find yourself in.
So I've got. I don't know what whether the final leaderboard was official there, but from what I could tell, Adam Cochran 434 was the winner of that race. He had a 3-second gap to Kean O'Sullivan, and then Cameron 143 rounding out the top 3. Ricky Slater got up to 4th, and Yannick Kalansky was 5th. Again, I'm not sure if that's official or if that's
I've then got
confirmed, but
Lewis
that's what I got.
Willisey behind him, Sean Jacklin and Johnny Hammond, Derek Martin, and then Chris Wilkes rounding out the top 10 as I saw it. But that will be one that we will definitely double check before we confirm that one. I will actually be able to get some results up, which we will run for everybody, and we'll confirm what those results were before the night is out. So with that being said, it's probably not a bad time to look at the grid as it is for the next round, if you guys are ready.
Yeah, we're ready. Also, just a shout out for a Heat 2 runner, Donovan Voster. So a friend of his. I'm going to apologise, Martin. I'm just going to say Martin because I don't think I'm going to be able to pronounce your surname. So just giving a heat out there. So I'm going to take the whites this time as Dom started last time.
Why not?
We've got Fabian 450 will be the pole man. JNR Rod 332 will line up alongside him. Then second row will be James 284. And the back of our white group this time is Scotty 78. So another few new names in that one, which is great to see some new guys getting involved with us. I'll leave it over for you, Dom, for the yellows.
So at the head of the yellows, we've got Chris Crane 15, and behind him, or beside him, sorry, is Ronan O'Brien 715. He's had a good run of things last week. John Kirkland 844 is behind him, and then rounding out the yellows is Alan 959.
So in your blue group, the beginning of the blue group is Craig Durran 84. Donovan Vorster, who we've just given a shout out to, 73 is lining up alongside him. Then the second row of the blue group is Johan 148. And Charlie Aylward 46 will round off your blues. Over to you, Dom, for the reds.
And from one Dom to another, because heading up the red grades is Dom Freeman. He has a few fans on Facebook I saw earlier. Got some support behind him tonight. Then we have BDR 867. That's Tommy Daly. Then Josh King 589. And then rounding out the reds, we have Smithy 565. That is Dan Smith.
So I've actually just had some information come through from the admins that unfortunately Smithy565 has just had some computer issues, so he won't be joining us. He may try and get those sorted throughout the evening, but I'll keep you updated as and when. So unfortunately, he won't be rounding off for Heat 2, won't be starting out. But in the Superstars, front of the Superstars group, we have McFerrin 910, who had a great run last week, some really, really good results. So it will be easy to look up him for the evening, see how well he gets on. Barber 296, who's a formal Rebel racer, he'll be alongside McFerrin in the Superstar group. And then finishing off our heat is QE174 and Carl Waller Barrett is 162. So two regular hot rod races there on the back row will be eager to come through from the back, and they had some really good results the last couple of weeks. So we'll be looking forward to seeing that back group come through.
Now we'll just leave the graphics for the grid running through for everyone at home just to ponder over while the guys are starting to sort out their warm up and get on to the grid. We won't bore you with watching a load of cars pulling forward out of the pits to line up and bumping into each other. Sarah, we did this last week. It seemed to work out quite nicely. Who is your pick for this heat?
I'm going to go for Mr. McFerrin, as I just said just then when I was reading out the heats. He had some spectacular results last week, so he's got to be one to watch. I just hope I don't give him the commentator's curse.
He did. I think he did catch a few people with that last week with the commentator's curse. Dom, how about you?
Well, McFerrin, I believe he won last week's final, so he's got to be one of the hottest prospects out there. I would like to see Carl Waller Barrett doing well. He's been there or thereabouts the last couple of weeks. He's been getting from the Superstars to around 5th. I think this week is the week that he can go one better and sort of break into that top 3, maybe even a win.
His mum's just given him a shout out on Facebook, so thanks Sandra for your good luck to Carl.
I'm going to go with a relative unknown. I'm going to go with Charlie Aylward and see how he goes. He's not one that we would normally sort of expect to be up there or thereabouts, but I've had a bit of a sneak peek and I've seen the Aylwards running in practice, and they've been pretty quick. So I think they're definitely going to be someone that is worth watching.
Yeah, that could be a good shout. They're a familiar name in racing, not necessarily in the hot rod scene, but they are a familiar name in racing. So it's lovely to have them with us as a family. And I know he's got some supporters on Facebook and YouTube as well.
Yes, it's been quite surprising amount of people that I've seen on on both YouTube and Facebook who've been shouting out the drivers. It's nice to see what's happening there. So the guys are all out and they're lining up on the grid as we speak. Let's jump over and find out exactly what is happening. And I should hopefully have. Let's have a look and see if this timing screen is going to work for us this time. It's looking good so far.
We've got everything crossed in Suffolk. So we've got a few people already asking how they can get involved with online racing. So just keep your eyes peeled. We do share the details throughout the week. When we get a moment when one of the races is finished, we will give out the online oval racing website details, which is how you register with an interest. The guys are also practicing all week long, so even if there's not enough spaces for the races, then you can still join in and get some practice in.
Now, while the guys are lining up, you may notice along the bottom of your screen, you'll have a live scrolling overview of the championship as it sits at the moment. Now, this is as of last week, So this isn't being updated live with the races this evening. However, this is how the championship sits at the moment. So if you guys are interested in seeing how your favourite driver is faring overall, it's not a bad place to look. One name that popped up on there, which I mean, it didn't surprise me, but it's definitely going to be one that we'll be looking out for this evening. Daniel Erdl, in that 28 car, a German competitor that we've got in with us. What a blinding first event he had, Dom.
I mean, he was one of the people who really impressed me last week. I think he's got a well, if he can keep up the form that he had last week, he'll be right up there, and he'll soon break into the top 5 and maybe even the top 3 come the end of the season. As you can see, he's 10th position at the moment, but who knows what will happen by the end of the season. We've got plenty more rounds to go, and he was extremely fast last time out of Birmingham.
37 points in a single meeting. It's not bad going to break, as we said, the top 10 compared to some of these guys who've been racing from the get-go. Now,
I think he'll be out in the next heat, so we'll look forward to seeing him.
Now this is yours and Sarah's pick we're watching right now.
And we're away.
On board with Niall McFerrin, making up places already.
Good clean start from the pack.
Yeah, no incidents so far. All good start, as you say, Don.
Waller Barrett, I say, one of my other picks, just making it safe and steady around the corner, going side by side at the moment, but he's made up a position on Jason Q.
Donovan Vorster running he was running in 4th place. He's now up to 3rd.
Ronan O'Brien going very good. He's in 2nd, and he is sticking very close with the leaders. So this is the 2nd, and this looks like a really close pursuit.
Yeah, this is Fabian 450. He's one of our new guys that's new in this week, with Ronan O'Brien. He's going very well, actually, around Hednesford. He had mentioned that he enjoyed Hednesford as a track, but we've normally been seeing him...
Yeah, he's just slashed that. So the admins are just saying for keeping their lines, no funny business. They want to keep this clean recent.
Oh!
It looks like
Oh dear, that's not how we wanted the race for the lead to end. But Fabian Barr got taken round there by Ronan O'Brien. We'll have to see what the stewards say.
That's Alan Christie that we're watching now in the 959 car, who takes a bit of a dive to the inside. Is that Huey? That looks like Huey and McFerrin heading past there. Noel McFerrin.
Huey's doing really well, up to 8th now.
Noel McFerrin's all over the back of him though. Watch the guys as they come streaming through this corner.
Pack starting to space out a bit, but Ronan O'Brien still under pressure, this time from Charlie Aylward, who was your pick, Gav.
Yeah.
It looks as if he's going to challenge for the lead now.
Just spotted that one myself. That's a 0.3 gap. Oh, 0.2 now. So Aylward is right on the back of Ronan OB.
So let's...
Putting on the pressure.
There's Donovan Vorster in 3rd. He's a little way back, but not horrendously far away from the action.
Niall McFerrin is now up to 7th place, so from right at the back of the superstars, he's had a great go.
So they're just starting lap 13 now. Let's watch from on board Charlie Aylward chasing down Ronan O'Brien in that 715 car. He's only got a couple of laps left to do it in.
I think it's the last one, actually, Gav, but this is going to be a do-or-die move if he's going to take the win. Wood looking to get a good exit, but I don't think he's going to manage it. And that is O'Brien taking the win there. Charlie Aylward, good fight for 2nd. Forster 3rd, was there to pick up the pieces, but just didn't need to in the end. And McFerrin taking 4th after that start from the back of the grid as well.
So our final results of heat number 2 this evening. Ronan O'Brien in that 7:15 car. This is with a very strong performance, actually. Very impressed with him there. Taking first place. Charlie Alwood, who was my pick. Not that I'm going to brag on that one at all. In second place, moving right up the pack. Donovan Vorster in third. A bit of a surprise one there. Then there was your guys' pick, Mr. Niall McFerrin. I'm wondering possibly whether or not it's just because guys are quicker on this track, or if he got caught up in traffic there that he got hung up a little bit. Josh King in fifth, Scotty 78 in sixth, Huey was in seventh, Craig Durant, as we said, one of the few guys running a Mini in this competition, in the number 84 Mini in eighth, Johnny McCoy in that rather fetching liveried 148 car in ninth, and Michael Barber. Now, Michael Barber was one who I must admit surprised me when we start looking at the championship standings so far. Michael Barber is one of those guys who has always been there or thereabouts in the top 10 and consistently picking up points. And I can't remember where exactly it is that he's sitting in the championship standings at the moment, but he's definitely one to watch out for just churning in consistent results time after time.
Yeah, definitely. He's quite a young lad, so he's probably more familiar with a lot of our races to sitting online. I don't really know, but I'm just suggesting that maybe he's younger than a lot of the guys out there, that maybe he's done a little more online racing than some of our others. But yeah, he is a young lad who, as I said before, used to race in Rebels. I believe he's now in Legend. Maybe somebody can put me right on that one.
Noticing that quite a lot actually with some of the drivers that we have in. You might not know them from the national hot rods, but a lot of these drivers are actually racing in other disciplines that you can find sort of around the UK.
Yeah, and isn't it lovely that, this is online oval racing. This is what we're all about. Let's join together. We're all a big family. In real life, we have the marshals that support. We have the first aiders, all volunteers, as are a lot of other people working at the tracks. And isn't it just nice that during these times we can all come together and just, be together as a big family and basically have some fun together.
So here we are, the confirmed top 10 for Heat 2. Now, this is the guys' online names that they're using, but I'll try and break that down for everyone on Facebook and YouTube so that you can work out who it is we're talking about. In first place, Ronan O'Brien, Charlie Alwood in second, Donovan Vorster in third, Niall McFerrin in fourth, Josh King in fifth, Scotty 78 in sixth, and Huey in seventh, Craig Durant, then Johnny McCoy in ninth, and Michael Barber in that 296 car rounds out your top 10 for heat number 2. So it's probably not...
Over to you then, Dom. Do you want to start heat 3 grid for us with the whites?
Sure thing. So the third heat of the day, fronting the grid, we have David Ryan 30. I think one of the new ones. I don't recognise the name myself. Then we have Stuart 931. From there we have Potter 79. After that we have Lucas 24. And then behind him we've got the other Freeman racing, Dan Freeman 606. And then last one in the white grades, quite a stacked white grade for this race, is Joe Rollings 593.
So, moving to heat 3 for the yellows, we have Rapid Roy 36, another new name for this evening, and alongside him is Irishman Damien Mulvey 51, who you should spot in the bright pink car, as is his real life colours. Then we have a gap behind Rapid Roy, so in the third position, on the yellows. But in the fourth position, so rounding off yellows for this heat 3, is Snoopy MSNG 846.
Peter McKnight. I'll drop that one in there. I think it's either McKnight or McWright. It's a little bit easier than Snoopy for you.
Right, thank you for that, Gav. putting the children to bed means I kind of don't get a chance to do too much of the homework on the new guys, but you know we're getting to grips with some of the more regulars now.
So I'll quickly go over the Blues. We've got at the front we have Sean Cooney 921. Then we have Fawkes 362 and Loveland 220. Luke Loveland will be joining us later for an interview as well. Wish him the best of luck tonight.
Oh, have we lost Sarah?
So,
Oh, no.
no, it's all right. Sorry, I was just making notes. So we've got another Aylwood leading the Reds for Heat 3. Jack Aylwood 146. Then we have Austin Newell 156 will be alongside him. And the guy you were talking about earlier, Daniel Erdl, the German, in car 28, will be on the second row of the Reds. And alongside him, our first outing of this evening for Mr. Gavin Murray, otherwise known as the Cannonball, who is a regular in the National Hot Rod scene. He's in a dark grey car, and I know his little girls, Imogen and Jessica, and his wife Mel are watching. Very good friends of ours, so giving the girls a shout out this evening up in North Suffolk.
So the superstar grades. Fronting the superstars, we've got one of the most consistent drivers, I believe, who has raced throughout the course of the event so far. Tim Close, Tim 89 there. After that, we have Aaron McGrath, who's raced in courses prior to tonight, but he's making a debut in a Tigra for this meeting. We'll have to see if that works out for him. Behind him, we have Simon 998, which is Simon Kennedy. And then at the back we have Ryan Wolsey 940, another good performance from him last week. Let's see if he can make it into the A final on merit this time.
So coming then, guys, picks for Heat 3. Surprise me.
I mean,
Go on. Yeah, I was going to say, go on, Tom.
Just say, I was in awe at his driving last week. I want to see Daniel Erdl perform again in the Reds. But yeah, I'd be interested to see how a few of the others get on. There's a few new names out there. I'd be happy if they gave me a surprise as well.
Why didn't I jump in first? I would just literally put my asterisks against Daniel Erdl. I'm going to sound like I'm copying again now, aren't I? Right, let's have a Wolsey. I've been a big fan of Wolsey's over the last few weeks, so let's have a Wolsey come through from the back. Come on, Ryan. Don't let me down, mate.
I'm trying to think, because I'd managed to go for someone sort of different, but I think everyone, I mean, it's got to be Daniel Erdl. It's got to be one of the obvious choices. Do you know what? Let's go for someone different. I'm going to go for Tim Close in that 89 car. I'll go for Tim Close as my choice. He's, as Dom very rightly pointed out, he's been pretty damn consistent the whole time that we've seen him running. So yeah, I'll go with Tim Close.
We've got two Daniels getting shout-outs on Facebook. So Daniel Freeman, as his mate Michael, or it might even be a relation, is shouting. And also Daniel Erdl has also had a shout-out there from his mate Martin.
So see the guys as they're all lining up here at the moment. It's definitely going to get confusing at some point. You can guarantee it with two D Freemans.
Yes. Yep. Definitely. On two cars lining up looking completely the same there. Even worse.
That's going to be the case that we're going to have with a lot of the new cars, unfortunately. So let's watch the start. Let's watch it from our man that we're shouting out for great things this evening. We're going to watch the start from on board with Daniel Erdl in that 28 car, and away they go.
A little bit of a twitchy start. These hot rods are a bit difficult to get off the line. That's why they're usually rolling in real life. But a good clean start, no real big incidents so far.
They'd like to say they need to warm up their tyres, but obviously, as we know, you don't need to warm up your tyres in online racing. It's not like normal racing.
So Gavin Murray's doing all right. Ryan was getting his nose into someone a little bit there, going through turns 3 and 4, but that seems to have all sorted itself out. Little nudge there from... in fact, I'm not entirely sure who that was. There was a little nudge and someone getting a little bit sideways going through the first corners.
Just for those
And that's Luke Loveland in the background.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see if we can find out exactly what's happened to him. That doesn't
Stuck
look
in the wall.
particularly good for Luke there.
Yeah, it's just been warned by the admins, obviously, to watch out as he rejoins.
It's going to be a tight situation, but it's just about getting going.
So we have a Freeman in first place in this race. It's not Dom.
I was
It's
just going to warn you about that though, Gavin. Just looking at the gap, I think that might be a technical glitch again, because I think Dan is listing as a lap ahead. Joe Rollins and David Ryan are pretty close, so I'm not sure whether that's a further issue. A little
11-second
bit more chaos
gap.
going
It
on
could
circuit.
be.
Yeah, I was just keeping an eye on that. I think it's more likely that Joe Rollins is our leader, with a smaller gap to David Ryan in second and Potter 79 in third.
Which would
And Daniel
put
Erdl,
Daniel
our
Erdl in
man,
fourth.
for
Good performance from him again. Ryan Woolsey's carving his way through the field as well. Putting in a good performance there, but it's just not kept up with Erdl. Granted, there is a grades difference between them, but superstars usually are expected to cut through to the front as the evening goes on.
So if we're saying that we think Joe Rawlins is actually the guy in first place, then we're riding on board with him now, looking
back
backwards.
to the no second place. He is far ahead if this is the lead, and I can't see.
Which would make sense. It's 5 seconds going by the timings, and he's absolutely flying. Look, he's back round there, catching up with Cannonball himself. Look.
yeah, Gav just in the mix there.
Fast stuff from Dan Freeman. Sorry, from Rollins. My apologies. Getting caught up myself there.
So if we're assuming that he's a lap ahead, then we're going to say that this is going to be as they complete the final lap now for everyone else that's not Daniel Freeman.
So we have to assume that is Rollins' victory in the 593 car there. David Ryan taking second and Daniel Erdl up to third. What a performance from him, making his way through. Potter 79 in fourth position, as it should be. We'll have to find out where Dan Freeman really lies, but well, it's a bit difficult to say what the gaps would be. Cannonball also making it into the top 10. Good performance from him as well.
And Mr. Mulvey himself, with, as Sarah very rightly pointed out, a unmistakable bright pink car that he's got there. He's definitely done well to get himself inside of the top 10. So we'll just go and we'll try and clarify exactly where the guys finished at the end of that race. We'll talk to the admins to find out exactly what happened there.
So the admins are giving it that Daniel Freeman was our winner. So he must have just got that amazing lead from the off, which is what causes the confusion.
We are going to have to eat humble pie now. Definitely, as he's been shouted out as well on Facebook. I think it was that you said, Sarah. That's definitely humble pie that we're going to have to eat. That was a pretty impressive gap that he pulled out then, because I think at one point I was looking, I saw it was up to about 11 seconds.
And now Joe Rollins is saying his first. So okay, so guys, you're saying how can we not know who's in the lead? I myself am watching 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 computer screens to bring you the action. I don't know about you guys where you are, but we're trying to keep in touch with what the racers are saying, what the admins are saying, the actual live timing, the YouTube streaming, the Facebook streaming, and our results and all our technical side of things. So yeah, sometimes we do get a little confused, but Joe Rollins is shouting, "I am 100% the winner."
It's not even so much that causes the issue. I think we've brought it up when we've been streaming before, and I know Dom will back me up on this one with having some experience with R Factor himself. R Factor and a lot of the games that are out at the moment are really not designed with short track ovals in mind, and especially when it comes to the different grades and everything that go with it. So the admin team behind the scenes, while we're chewing your ears off, are having to work exceptionally hard to get all of the drivers out on track and to separate them out into their individual grades. Now, The reason that then causes an issue is all it takes is one of the drivers to, muck up his position and roll around the lap. And unlike in real life, where it's very easy to just say, right, we'll count from this point, we have to rely on telemetry that we're getting from the game, and the game will then put that person ahead of everyone else. It's one of the things that you just have to unfortunately deal with when we're doing stuff over tracks this short. It's something that's a lot less of an issue if you're racing around, I don't know, Silverstone or Spa-Francorchamps, for example. And yeah, wouldn't you say, Dom?
It's just, yeah, you're right. I mean, incidents like this are going to happen. There's going to be a little bit of confusion here and there. Um, you know, as I've mentioned before, this game's quite an old one now. It probably, when the game designers were programming this, I don't think they had any idea that in 2020 there'd be people still doing short oval racing on it. And yeah, the sort of basics of the game, they are not meant to sort of work in this way. I mean, yeah, it can cause confusion, but there's not really much we can do about it. I think we just need to keep our wits about us and look at the standings where they are at the start and just check the gaps, because that way at least we can have a decent idea of what may occur. But other than that, yeah, we have to sort of play it by ear.
So I'm going to put up, because it's what's come through from the timing screens. This is the results as we had them from the timing screens, which show Mr. Freeman there in first place. We will get it clarified by the admins before the end of the evening as to exactly who it was who took the victory for that. But we've got Freeman in first, Joe Roll in second, David Ryan in third, Lucas, who also was only started racing with us last week, doing very well for himself there in fourth, Potter 79 in fifth, Damien Mulvey in sixth, Ryan Woolsey in seventh, Fawkes 46 in eighth, Mr. Gavin Murray in ninth, and Aaron McGrath rounding out the top 10. So,
I was going to say, sorry, Gav, just looking at that, again, not sure if there was something that we missed, but Daniel Erdl not on that list, whereas he was relatively high in the closing stages. So, we'll still have to see once we find out this result whether he is there, but I can only assume something's happened to him and he's missed out on the top 10 this time.
Must have been for him not to be showing. He was absolutely flying. I think he was up to fourth or third when we were actually watching it.
Yeah, and that's, again, we'll have to straighten out the result, and I'm sure on the website and so on we'll make it clear on the Facebook page and so on. But yeah, a little bit of confusion this time. Well, we think that Freeman has won, but we've got other people calling Hail Mary, so we won't say anything concrete for now.
Why not? I'm going to say that I won that heat. Let's let's just throw it into the mix. I'll throw my hat down as well. I think I may have won that one. So yeah, we'll see what happens. As I said, unfortunately, it comes from the fact that this is a bit of an old game that we're doing this on. So, but let's move on from that, shall we? Let's start having a look at the guys for Heat 4. Move on from that result. So I'll leave that one with you guys.
Okay, thanks, Gav. So yeah, as Gav just mentioned, Heat 4, and we're beginning to see some of the names coming out again for a second run now. So on pole we have Fabian 450, then we have JN Arod 332, and on the second row is your poleman from Heat 1, Ben Keneally 210, and another man from Heat 1 is Wilkes 111. And then rounding off your white group for Heat 4 is Nikki 97.
Okay, so yellow grades, we've got at the front Chris Crane 15, then we have Ronan O'Brien 715, Crasher Chrome after him, and then AS Racing 32 rounding out the yellows.
Okay, and in the blue group we have another Woolsey, so Wayne Woolsey 950, Sean 152, Sean Taylor, another regular National Hot Rod racer, and Craig Durrant 84, who is a family member of the Scrutineers from the regular on National Hot Rod Racing Championship. And then Donovan Borster will round off your blue group.
Okay, so the Reds, we've got Cami 143, and again we've got the other Freeman, Dom Freeman 61 in the middle, and then at the back of the red grades we have BDR 867.
So we have our world final champion of earlier on a few days ago. Derek Martin 20 is the front of the superstar group. Sean Jacklin 11 is lining up alongside him. Then we have Niall McFerrin 910 and Michael Barber 296 rounding off your grid for Heat 4.
So, do you know what? I'll let you guys battle it out now. There's a couple of names that you can choose this time, so hopefully you won't go for the same one, and we can look out for some different people. Sarah, you first this time, as you lost out last time.
Well, I was thinking just as I was reading those out, do I say Niall McFerrin or do I go for Derek Martin? I'm going to go, I don't know how you do it in horse racing, but one of those two is going to get first and one of those two is going to get second.
So you're going either way, basically.
Yeah, that's what we call it, each way betting or something, isn't it? I'm
Yeah,
not
that's...
a horse fan.
Dom. Dom? Have we lost Dom?
Sorry.
Oh, no, he's there.
No. Sorry, that was my own fault there. I muted the mic just to have a sip of water, and then I started speaking all to myself. Right, so Heat 4, my predictions. This is, well, there's such a talented lineup here. It could be any of the superstars. But I'm going to say, going to put a stab in the dark and go with Dom Freeman. He was up there in the last race. He made some good gains. I think he could do it. He's been driving around in that really nice car, flames on the side, very retro. I think he can do it. He's it could be, well, as I say, it could be any one of the superstars, but I would like to see Freeman do well this time.
I am going to go, and this is Gavin's hot pick for Heat 4. I'm going to go for Cami 143, because what I know that you guys may not have realised is Mr. Cami 143 is a certain Lewis Willis's brother, and it's possibly just pinning a little bit too much on the family relationship there, but I reckon he's probably going to be one to watch for this one, so I'm going with Cami 143 for my choice.
Okay, and the boys are off. Heat 4, here we go.
A nice clean start. The wide track at Hednesford definitely paying in the boys' favours today, making life a lot easier.
Yep, Keneally's got the whole shot, but Fabian 450 isn't far behind. It's 0.2 seconds.
Oh,
Derek Martin getting a little bit sideways there.
And Freeman making contact with the Armco as well. I hope I haven't given him the curse. Top 10 is pretty close, looking at the timings here.
Chris Crane doing nicely for himself.
Yeah, just spotted that together. That's my little boy's hero, Chris Crane.
Wayne Woolsey ends up to 7th there. He's got a little bit of a gap to the next car, but he's been on the move. Ronan O'Brien also.
I was going to say, look who that is in 4th. That's Ronan O'Brien, and he is having an absolute stormer today.
Martin making his way up into the top 10, and well, he's now up to 8th, and that's Sean Taylor in the centre.
And Chris Crane.
Oh, and Craney out from 2nd. He could probably get going, hopefully, from that.
Meanwhile, at the front, Fabian Bauer is still leading the way. Ben Keenley has got a little bit of a gap to him now, and it's actually changed for 2nd as well, as Cameron 143 takes up the 2nd place position.
Sean Taylor's got himself back on track there.
Yeah, Wayne Woolsey's up to 4th now.
Good spot, Sarah. And Derek Martin's actually gone through to 4th. There he goes, and as they come round the corner, trying to look for Derek Martin.
There's Derek Martin with Niall McFerrin behind him.
Those two going up together, and we've got a spin at the corner of the screen. I'm not sure who that is.
That looks like Chris Wilkes, I think, in the 111 car, who was actually running quite nicely, and I think that's taken him well down out of the top 10 now.
Such a shame for him. But top 3 now. Derek Martin has broken into that, and McFerrin following him through as well. Wayne Woolsey has dropped down to 5th again, but he'd still be happy with that, I'm sure.
You see Derek Martin making moves on some of the back markers there.
Fabian Bauer very close to the leader here. Cameron 143 right on his tail. Very difficult to work out what the gap would look like, but they're pretty much side by side for the timing screens. And Cameron 143 has made the move to the lead.
And we've got to change a leader. Cameron's up to first.
So I hate to say I told you so.
Yeah, I did just think that when I said it. Got 2 laps to go by the looks of things.
Noel McFerrin there in 4th. Derek Martin in 3rd.
Contact with Sean Taylor at the back of shot there.
He's not having much luck, I must admit, in transitioning over to the online side of things, and that's a big pile up that we've got going into the first corner there.
Not sure if this is a post-flag pile-up, but there appears to have been some chaos late in the race. McFerrin and Martin together, but I'm not sure if this is a post-race incident.
Oh, I'm only just seeing the checkered flag out now. So I think that incident that we had was actually just before the final lap, because the checkered flag came out as those guys crossed over the line that last time. So I think that may have been just before, and it still hung over to when they actually crossed over the line to finish the race.
I think you might be right there, Gav. And Fabian 450 falling to 4th in the end, and Wayne Woolsey holding 5th.
So I didn't quite get my dream, but I did get McFerrin in 2nd and Martin in 3rd. So I was almost right.
clinging on to any small victory that you can there, aren't you, Sarah?
Why the heck not? It's Thursday evening.
So, the results as we have them for heat number 4. Mr. Cameron Willisey in the 143 car, taking out your victory of Niall McFerrin behind him in 2nd, Derek Martin in the 3rd, Fabian 450 in 4th, Wayne Woolsey making his way quite nicely up the pack there in 5th, BDR 867 in 6th, Sean Jacklin in the number 11 car in 7th, Tim Close in the 89 car in 8th, Dom Freeman in the 61 NASCAR inspired car in 9th, and Ben Keneally rounding out your top 10. So I mean that's it's not a huge surprise for 2nd and 3rd, and I think Cameron is going to be another one who's going to be very similar to what we saw from Mr. Erdl last week. I think we might see some of that from him. But some of the people who have been surprising me, Ronan O'Brien. I mean, he obviously got caught up in something, but Ronan O'Brien at one point was running quite happily in 2nd place and seems to be doing quite well for himself.
Yeah, I mean, we've still got quite a few more rounds to go after this, so all these guys can do is just keep steadily building, like the guys like Michael Barber have been doing, just getting the good results there, not necessarily the podiums, but the good results. It all keeps adding on to your total for the championship.
Definitely, it's not a sprint. It's this series that we've got on at the moment. It's going to be going over a few heats, and although we've got a lot of names that we may recognise at the moment who are sitting up at the top, we're definitely getting new people who are joining, who are going to be mixing it up with some of the more established names. That's one thing that's definitely for sure.
Yeah, definitely. One guy who should be running in this heat, but I haven't seen, Adam Maxwell. I don't know whether I've been completely daft and missed him completely in earlier on in the heats. I think he was due. I can't see now.
Heat 1.
Yeah, Heat 1. I haven't seen his famous white and orange colours out there. Have I missed him completely?
No, I can't say that it's been a car that I've particularly noticed, and Maxwell's normally running quite well when you watch him. He's normally at least in the top 10, so we'll have to double check and see exactly what's happened there, whether or not he is actually racing with us this evening, and we've missed him, or whether or not whether or not he's actually not made it in. So the results as we have them from the last race. Cammy 143 in first, Niall McFerrin in that 910 car, cementing yet more points for himself in second, as is Derek Martin in third. Fabian in the 450 car in fourth, Wayne Woolsey in fifth, BDR 867 in sixth, Sean Jacklin in seventh, Tim Close in the 89 in eighth, Dom Freeman in ninth, and Ben finally rounding out the top 10 for heat number 4. So I will leave you guys to take on the grid for heat 5.
So,
Okay,
go on then, Dom. I'll let you take the whites.
sorry, I was just going to see who's going first. Okay, so we have for Heat 5. At the front of the grid, we have Lucas 24. Then alongside in the second place position, we have Dan Freeman 606. In third, we have Joe Rollins 593. Again, still not sure about his first heat, but he was up there and was very consistent when he was in charge of the race. Kian O'Sullivan 136 is there in fourth, and then rounding out the white grade cars, we have Adam Cochran 434.
So your yellow group, we seem to have a gap at the front of the yellows, but Mr. Snoopy 846, I'm going to call him, or Peter McKnight as he'll be better known to his friends, will be the front of the yellows. Then Pecky 412, who, come on Mark, get a lap in, let's get round. He's about as good as I was trying this track on Sunday, who will be alongside Jordan Vovinkel 122.
So, blue grades, we have Forks 362 at the front. Alongside him we have Luke Loveland, Loveland 220. A little bit of misfortune in the first race getting caught in the wall. Hopefully he can have a bit of better luck next time out. Then we've got Jay Hammond 50, so that is Johnny Hammond. And then Wooly Hardy 972, also rounding out the blues.
So our red group for this heat 5, so this will be the penultimate heat of the evening. It will be Mr. Daniel Erdl, the disappearing man from the earlier round, Daniel 28, Daniel Erdl. Then we have Cannibal 95, Mr. Gavin Murray, followed by Jan Kulansky 193. And if he's there, Adam Maxima 176 should be the back of the road, so we'll just wait and see if he does actually manage to get in or not. As I say, we hadn't spotted him earlier on. We can just see him going through the stream there on your computers.
So, superstars, we have Simon 998, that is Simon Kennedy. Alongside him we have Ryan Woolsey 940. We've got the championship leader Lewis Willisey. He's going to have a difficult fight on his hands tonight defending that. And then at the back of the grid we have Ricky Slater 102.
So, well, we've done it every round so far. Picks for this round.
I am going Superstar 144. I know he's been a great helper to us on some of the behind the scenes stuff. I'm just going to throw my hat into that one. I think he might do well. Or my other one I'm looking up for is Johnny Hammond, who is from the Woolsey stock, and also racing alongside family member Ryan Woolsey. But yeah, Johnny Hammond and Superstar 144 are going to be my shouts for this one.
Okay, I was going to say I think Gav should go first based on how much of a masterstroke decision the last time.
Oh, sorry, typical female jumps in there.
No, I just wanted to see, but
Guys, I'm just going to jump in before we finish off the picks, as the guys have got underway racing. So,
well, let's see how it goes from here. Front group.
If it makes you feel any better, I was going to say I was going to go with Daniel Freeman in the blue car that we're watching at the moment, but he seems to be sliding backwards down through the field. Curse of the commentator as he turns more, and that's a big incident there.
Gavin Murray getting involved. Willisey's got caught up in it as well, and he's spun.
That's Lewis Willisey now getting round the right way and getting going down the back straight. That's definitely going to throw a bit of a spanner in the works of what we were all expecting for this race.
Adam Cochran leading from Joe Rollins, and then O'Sullivan in third. Let's have a quick look elsewhere. Kalansky's made his
Come
way
on,
up. To 10th.
Pecky, still showing in the top 10. He's slipping back down. Sorry, Mark, done it again. I know all your family's watching at home tonight, babe.
And that looked like Luke Loveland, who was pretty much parked on the exit of turn 4 there.
More difficulty for him. Such a shame given uh, his first heat as well. Ryan Woolsey now at the edge of the top 10. Pecky is still there. He's not dropped out completely, but Kalansky is the man on the move. He's up to 7th from one of those. I think it was a red grade he was in, so
And
he is
that's
making great progress.
him who was just getting nudged sideways there by Wooly Hardy, I think. As we watch them now as they head down into turns 1 and 2. Willie Hardy doesn't seem to be doing too badly for himself around here at the moment. It's 7th place he's up to at the moment.
Now.
Certainly bumpers out on that last lap, but Daniel Erdl, the one who is again very much silent assassin, making his way up the field, dispatching each and every driver that comes to his way, and he's trying to make another move there.
And
It's made contact with Vorster. We'll have to see what the stewards think of that. Sliding round, and again Vorster still stranded on the back straight.
And that's Simon Kennedy that's spinning as well.
Absolute carnage. And Erdl manages to sneak through.
So we're riding
He's made gains out of that, I'm not sure.
on board with him now, and you can start to get an idea of exactly what these guys are seeing. They didn't have much time to react when you see some of the spinning cars in front of them. I'm still showing Daniel Erdl in 4th, with Jordan Vowinkle in front of him in 3rd, who I believe is South African. That's another tab round there that he has on Vorster. That's
Vorster
2 coming together that those 2 have had.
I mean, we have to give credit to the man out the front, Joe Rollings, because this looks like it might be, well, hopefully this will be a certain win for him this time, because there's no doubt that he is leading, and he has done this so from the start. This is a great performance from him.
There he is in that 593 car as they come round.
This should be checkers, if not it's already down.
And it is.
But there he is.
That's the
Joe
checkered
Rollins
flag there.
Kian O'Sullivan 2nd, Daniel Erdl in 3rd this time, Jordan Vowinkle in 4th, Adam Cochran 5th, Wooly Hardy managing 6th, Ryan Woolsey 7th, Kalansky down to 8th in the final standings. Bit of a disappointment for him considering the progress he was making. Slater 9th and Dan Freeman in 10th.
Joe Rawlins giving us a few donuts in celebration there, and why on earth not?
He's a happy man after the mix-up from earlier on, isn't he?
Well, as we said, this is definitely at least 1 victory for him this evening, possibly 2 as soon as we get the final information from the admins. Now, the interesting one for me, I think, is going to be the little bits of coming together between Daniel Erdl and I think it was Vorster, wasn't it? They had 2 comings together within the space of 2 laps.
Yeah. Vorster and Erdl made contact, but I think the other one that is really important and has dramatic ramifications on the championship is Willesee. Willesee with a 1-point lead in the championship over Derek Martin. Well, you've seen how Martin's been performing tonight. Willesee, we can't say the same for him, and most likely he's going to have a struggle on his hands to even maintain that tonight.
Yeah, I think that may end up changing what the very top of the championship leaderboard looks like. It's pretty close, to be honest, across the top 10. I mean, between Lewis in 1st place with 70 something points, Daniel Erdl in 10th place is 37. You get someone who has a particularly good round, and it's not going to be all that difficult for someone to make up some fairly significant ground and climb up through the positions in the championship.
Just want to give a shout out to our white group of drivers there, our white grade drivers. They seem to have sort of the best results of the whites for the whole evening, really. What do you think to that, guys?
Definitely. I mean, I think we've got some. I think we may have some sleepers within the white groups who are racing with us for the first time, but we've definitely got some guys with previous experience. I think either in R Factor or racing another national hot rod league But yeah, definitely some really good results from some of the new guys that we have in their first meeting. Um, yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting to watch. They're mixing it up with some of the names that we've come to know and expect to be at the top of the leaderboard over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, so as I mentioned earlier on, even though obviously this is race night, official race night, the guys do get a chance to go and practice on the track for the whole of the week. So as from tomorrow, the fourth round of this championship, the track gets opened up, and anybody who gets a chance, of course, obviously some are still working, some guys are still having to work at the moment, but for those that aren't and have some free time, they can go and basically be on here 24/7 if they wanted to for the next week, just to get a run with some others, and very often there's others on track as well. So still good practice for them, and I know this is where some of the new guys have come from, is those that have been practicing during the week and they've managed to get themselves an early booking.
Now, we have, I believe, got some issues with the graphic that we have for the grid for heat number 6 this evening. So we're going to have to rely, Sarah, on your dulcet tones, and we'll play between your dulcet tones and then Dom with his. I think Dom's actually picked up the names of everyone and how they're doing standing wise very quickly. Guys, if you hadn't realised, this is only Dom's second week with us now. Coming and joining us from the Speedworth TV team. Now, before we jump in with the grids, how are you finding things on the virtual side, Dom, compared to obviously going out and visiting the tracks for real? He doesn't like
I
it.
think he's having another drink, isn't he?
Yes, well done. I've just done it again. Oh, this is the thing. I'm not used to this still. There's certain elements that I am not used to, and this is where I keep making mistakes. Yeah, technical side of things is probably my only bugbear. I'm not up to speed. This is my second time live streaming anything or joining a live stream. I've done podcasting before, but that's a bit more on the fly, a bit more sort of go with the flow and make it up as you can, whereas this was very much reliant on everything going to plan and all the screens working and all the stats working. So yeah, this is far more difficult. Going to the actual meetings, usually I'm never in such a privileged position to have all the data in front of me, so it is nice. It's usually just sight and working out who's in the lead and paying attention to the scoreboards when you're at the meeting. As much as we work with the camera teams and we hear the commentary, it's not every meeting. Ipswich is one of the main examples. We aren't in the race control, so we're not always knowing who's in the lead. We're having to pay attention and keep our wits about us, as to who's up front. they you know they there is a lot of comparison you can make between the virtual side of things. Yeah, it's just that some of the details that we have to our fingertips here are much greater than what I would normally have, and that does help sort of construct a better and clearer sort of view for the audiences. Um, we would like to do something like that for live stuff, but it's going to be a big step. Um, big step when we get back to racing. What plans we've got in the pipeline and what we're going to do. Hopefully, it will be sooner rather than later, and you know we'll have full racing and full race meetings going on soon. But we just have to wait and see. In the meantime, though, I'm more than happy to do this, and I think I'll still continue to do this even when we do go back normally racing, because it has been very exciting, and I'm definitely enjoying myself with this kind of thing.
I'll leave you guys to talk us through the grid for heat number 5 then this evening, and as the guys start to head out onto track to get lined up.
Go on then, Dom. Do you want to start off with the whites for this final heat?
Sure thing, Sarah. Okay, so at the front of the grid, we have David Ryan 30. Then alongside him in second place is Stuart 931. And then in third place, we have Potter 79. That is Darren Potter. In fourth place, we have James 284. who I believe is James Bennett. And then rounding out the white graders, we have Scotty 78, and that is Scott Kendall.
So the front of our yellows is a Rapid Roy 36. Alongside him is Damien Mulvey 51 in the beautifully bright pink coloured car, easy to spot. Then we have John Kirkland 844, who completely confused me in his last heat, because for a second I thought that was Billy Bonner, because he's in Billy Bonner's colours. So lovely to see that out there. Scottish racer, obviously, for those of you more familiar on real life racing. And Alan 959 is the back of the yellow group for this last heat 6.
So at the front of the blues, we have Johan 148, which is Johnny McCoy, out in his Tigra again. Then we have the first of the Aylward brothers. We've got Charlie Aylward 46 in the blue grades, and then rounding out the blues, the last position there is Sean Cooney 921.
So we have Josh King 589 will be the first of our red group for heat 6. Should have had Smithy 565, but we haven't heard that he's back in, so all we can presume is he won't be making the grid tonight. As we did mention earlier on, he's got some PC issues this evening. Second of the Aylwoods for this race is Jack Aylward in the 146, and rounding off our reds is Austin Newell 156.
Superstars, we've got Jason Q at the front, Carl Waller Barrett alongside him, so that's an all actual driver front row for the Superstars. Then we've got Tim Close, Mr. Consistent, and alongside him Aaron McGrath at the back of the grid.
So I've been pretty good so far with guessing who's going to be making moves, other than the last race where I managed to completely jinx. So let's see who. Dom, we'll let you go first with this one. Who's your pick for a mover and shaker in heat number 5?
I'm going to go for a man who was a bit of a surprise last week, because he was, continuing on the consistency. He was one of the lower graded drivers at Ipswich, proved himself and was sort of placed mid-pack at Birmingham, and then really did show in the final. I'm going to go with Josh King. He's done a really good job of things lately, and I think he had a good run in the earlier races as well. I think he managed 5th. So I think he'll be one to watch in this race, especially considering he's in red grade.
Sarah.
Well, I am, as I always pick my horses just by the name, I'm going to go with Rapid Roy 36, just because I like the name. That's usually how I pick, well, not necessarily my horses, but if I go dog racing, that's how I like to pick my winners.
Now, you could be onto a good one there, because Rapid Roy, from what I understand, is a real world, I believe, hot rod driver from Scotland. So you could have made a good choice there with that one. I'm going to go for one of the Aylwards. I think we could see them doing something a little bit special, but we'll just have to wait and see. The guys are just finishing off, lining up now as we speak. I'm going to ride on board with a certain Mr. Damien Mulvey. And watch, that's Alan Christie that you can see in front of them as we get underway for Heat 5.
See the brakes going on there for turn 1.
Nice clean start. And this is going to be interesting, seeing how quickly Mulvey can dispatch Alan Christie in that Saxo. Closed in relatively well and already looking to make up positions.
So these guys are 5th and 4th respectively at the moment. So you can see they're already making moves towards the front. And
contact with Aylward. Aylward benefits from it. He went round the outside, but a bit disappointing there from Mulvey. He had no real choice but to sort of bash the wall, and then Aylward.
Yeah, there we go. To the bottom. The only time he would generally race on this track in real life would be the National Championship each August bank holiday weekend each year, as I say, is an Irish racer in real life.
So watch the leading pack come through here. That's David Ryan with Scotty behind him and Potter 79. Charlie Elwood up to 4th. And they're all still within striking distance of each other at that distance. And as you very rightly mentioned there, Sarah, Damien all the way at the back of the pack after that little coming together.
I think we've got a few cars that we need to watch. Aylward's making big progress, and he's
There's
looking
another
to.
spinner just there, guys. He was up between turn 3 and 4.
He was. I think he may have possibly then decided to disconnect rather than coming back onto the track. Johnny McCoy.
There's a bit of a queue forming behind Kirkland as well in 7th, so we'll have to see what's going on there. There might be a few chances or overtakes going on. Alan Christie with some trouble. He's just dropped down the sheets, and he's now outside the top 10.
And I'm guessing by the message that just popped up on screen, that was Jack Aylward who spun at the bottom of our screen a minute ago and has now dropped out. So we're watching David Ryan here, who's out in first with 11 laps gone. Nice 2-second, nearly 3-second gap back to second place.
It's a good start by Ryan.
Apologies to those of you following us on YouTube and Facebook. Yes, this is Heat 6. You are right. Gav's forgotten to change the heat numbers over. So yes, we are Heat 6.
That's just because I was running out of fingers to count with. That's what that was. There we go.
Our multi-talented man there in Essex.
Ryan with a huge lead now and doing very well to maintain it, looking very consistent. Charlie Aylward in 2nd, around a 2-second gap. It fluctuates here and there as the lap goes by, but he's got Potter for company, and I think he is still looking to move up if time will allow it, although I think laps are very much against him at this point.
Just about to come round. They're on lap 15 now. To complete this one, I don't think he's going to be able to do anything from here, although he's pulled out a fairly nice gap over Potter behind him, and I can't wait to see Charlie Aylward in his fully painted car, which will be in next week. It's one of a few changes that I know is on the books to be happening. There's going to be a few of these new guys who are going to have fully painted cars, and also there's going to be an element of customization, so you might see a few of the guys going full pimp my ride on some of the cars as they can start changing out wheels and various other bits and pieces to make their cars look how they want.
So you boys did a great shout out for that one. Charlie Aylward, who was your man Gav, he came 2nd, and Josh King, who was Dom's pick of the heat, was 4th. So I bummed out in that one. My Rapid Roy was not so rapid, down in 11th.
So the results from Heat 6, not Heat 5, if I remember to change the little banner at the top. Heat 6, David Ryan in the 30 car, finishing in first. Charlie Aylward in his 46 car, that's the plain white one for this week, in second. Potter 79 in third. Josh King in fourth. Scotty 78 in fifth. And QE got himself up to 6th place there. Carl Waller-Barrett in 7th. Austin Newell in 8th. Tim Close, Mr. Consistent, in 9th. And Aaron McGrath rounding out our top 10 for Heat 6. Now, we'll probably have a slightly larger gap in between this heat and then what we look to do for Final B. The main reason being is obviously all of the admin guys have to sort out all of the points and get everything in order so that they can work out who is going to be in Final B and who is then going to go forward to Final A. So we'll quickly put the results up for you guys for that Heat 6, and then we have a guest, as we did last week, who will be talking to us, and so let's just quickly go through those results for you now for one last time. From Heat 6, so we said David Ryan out in first, Charlie Aylward in second, Potter 79 in third, and Josh King in fourth, Scotty 78 in fifth, QE in 6th, Carwella Barrett in 7th. That's, I think, an error with our system there that's put Sean Taylor in 8th. I don't think that's right from what I remember from what I saw. Tim Close in 9th, and Aaron McGrath in 10th. Let me have a look. I think I have that should have been Austin Newell in 8th. So I think that's something that's pulled through wrong there. Now,
Yeah, Taylor wasn't in that one, was he?
Dom, do you want to take us through and introduce to us the gentleman who is going to be joining us to chat with us this evening?
Well, obviously we had Gavin Murray last week, famous for being a hot rod driver himself, one who will surely be reaching for success when things get going again. This week we've got someone who's been in other formulas but is still into his oval racing. Unfortunately, he's not had such a great night this evening, but I'm hoping we can find out why. It's Luke Loveland, or Loveland 220 as he is on the game. How are you doing tonight, Luke?
Yeah, not too bad. Could have had a better night in the heat, if I'm honest, but yeah, enjoyable stuff.
So for those viewers who are out there and don't know who you are, just give us a brief overview of yourself and tell us where you race and what you do.
So I've probably raced over racing for about 10 years now. I did mini stocks and then moved through Brisker F2s, Rebels, and now I race in the Oval Track Legends.
Okay, so Oval Track Legends, they're a
Yep.
cool class and they're quite competitive. They've got people
Yeah.
who've also done hot rods in that class. One of the names that springs to mind for me is Dan Holden.
Yeah.
Obviously, very competitive field, and you also visit circuits. Am I right with the Oval Track Legends?
There's two separate classes. So there's a oval one and then a circuit one. So the circuit guys, they have, to be honest, there's not much difference. They have a bit reverse box because they have to have that on circuits, whereas we don't have a reverse gear. And then they run on slightly different tyres, but pretty much the same. But you're not allowed to run the same car in both, unfortunately. So we're kind of restricted to the ovals with this car.
Okay, so I can understand. I bet you're one of the many drivers who are looking forward to getting racing again when
Yeah.
restrictions are lifted. Obviously, you've joined up with these guys for the OOR. This is pretty exciting stuff. Are you enjoying yourself out there, even if the success isn't necessarily coming your way, especially this evening?
Yeah, love it. To be fair, it's good. It's nice to get a bit of racing excitement back when there's nothing actually going on in real life. I mean, it was my first go last week. I'm pretty new to it, really. I had a couple of decent heats last week from white, and then I'm up to blue this week, so it's a bit more of a struggle. Bit of contact and then dumped near the back, and then worked my way back through a little bit, but still enjoyable and still good fun. And I think the amount of people that's actually racing is testament to how much fun it is and how much everyone's enjoying it.
Now, of the real life drivers who have been racing with us, we've seen a few, and I've heard a lot about them buying in equipment. What sort of setup are you running to be competitive or try and get up the order? Are you running wheel? Are you running controllers, or are you going off good old fashioned keyboard?
No, I'm running a wheel. It's an Xbox wheel, so it's not the best in the world, but it does have a bit of force feedback. And then I've got like a bit of a seat which looks a bit like a deck chair, but it's called a play seat, so I use that as well. So it's quite good. It is good, to be fair, but it's mainly for the Xbox, so it's not ideal for running this, but it'll get you through, and it's a bit better than use like a controller or especially the keypad.
I was going to say, having force feedback, I think, is one of the most essential
Yeah,
things in the hot
yeah, it
rods.
helps.
When you feel the oversteer, you need to catch it, and you need to
Yeah,
know what's going on. Obviously, in these cars, it also depends on what view you're running. If you're going for the full authentic experience of cockpit mode, you need to know when things are going wrong at the back of the car so you can make the correction. And
yeah,
yeah, you sound as if you've got
yeah.
a decent setup there.
I have to run the cockpit. I can't anything else. When you're looking at like the whole view of the car, it puts me off. I think you can see when you're in the car, you can see what's going on a bit more, and it feels a bit more realistic. Really, it feels like you're actually out there on the track.
Cool. So, you said you joined in last week, your first round at Birmingham. Hednesford this week. We've got quite a few races left on the calendar, the 7
Yeah.
rounds. Are you going to be looking to continue doing this even if lockdown gets lifted? Because we've got 7 more rounds. Next week we're at Nuts Corner, and we've got a season running all the way until Buxton. Is this really captivated you enough to stay, or? What
Yeah,
are your
I think
thoughts?
so. Especially as obviously at the minute we don't know when we're going to be going back racing in real life. It could be next year at this rate. So yeah, it's definitely it tides you over, keeps you a little bit sharp, and it is enjoyable. And to be honest, I think even if our racing restarted again, I think I'd probably carry on. It's something to do and get you through a night, isn't it? And it keeps you. It is enjoyable. And I would advise anyone to have a go at it. Really, it is enjoyable. And it's good to have a go.
Luke, I've got to chime in quickly because I think
Mhm.
quite possibly yours was one of my favourite skins that came in for the cars
Yeah.
when you joined us last week. Where did you draw on where did you draw on inspiration for that livery for the car?
It's actually based on my legend. I actually work for Mercedes in a dealership, and they're kind enough to sponsor me in the legend. So when I got all that sorted, I kind of took a bit of inspiration from the Formula One car there, with the silver and black, and then on the car it's got the shades of the like, Patronus green. So I thought, well, I'll carry this into the hot rod and go for a bit of a look like that, really.
I did wonder. It's definitely a nice car, and hopefully we'll see that up on the higher steps in the results standings a
Fingers
little bit more.
crossed.
Sorry, Dom. I'll let you carry on. I jumped in a little bit there. I had to ask
No,
that
no,
question.
sure. It's a good point, Gav. And they've got some very pretty cars out there. Many different styles, many different people going for retro or modern
Yeah.
stuff. Yours certainly one of the ones that stood out. You mentioned Mercedes style. Is there anyone out there that you'd like to thank or give a shout out to while you're on air?
Well, really, if there's anybody, my real life sponsor, who I know is actually watching, who's the manager at Mercedes Benz in Solihull. He's having a look tonight and having a watch because obviously they help me out. So if I can't race in real life on a track, at least I'm giving him a little bit of exposure on here with the logo still on the car. That's about it, really. If I'm completely honest. Yeah, that's all I've got on the car. But no, yeah, thanks to them.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Luke.
No problem.
Best of luck out there. It's just a
Thank you.
little bit disappointing and frustrating. It's not gone your way this evening. I was
Yeah,
hoping
it's
for
one of
good
them, isn't it?
things, but yeah, it is racing in the end.
Yeah, it's
Um,
racing.
Fingers crossed you have a bit more luck if you're in the B final.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, look forward to seeing you throughout the season, and hopefully we'll see you moving up the grades as you go along.
brilliant. Thank you.
Best of luck, mate.
Cheers. Thank you very much. Bye.
So, Sarah, you are our eyes and ears with contact to the admins. Do you have any news on who we can expect to see in Final B?
Yeah, I actually have the grid. I can't hear him anymore. I've managed to lose him that way, but he'll be bashing his on me later on, no doubt. So our pole man for this B final is Fabian 450, who has been a winner earlier on this evening, and also sat on pole earlier on. Ryan Woolsey, who I've given a shout out to many a time over this last couple of weeks in the 940, will line him up alongside him on the front row. Then, mate, this is an interesting one. We have another Woolsey on the second row. We have Wayne in the 950, so I think this is going to be a really good tussle. And another Irishman joining up this front group is 51 Damien Mulvey, so it's going to be a great tussle for this first two rows. Tim 89 is behind Mr. Mulvey, and our Superstock 144 man lines up behind him. 867 BDR is behind them, and alongside him is Willie Hardy. Then we have Mr. Carl Waller Barrett. So he's done really well in the points today. Not as well as he would hope. I like only being in the B final, sorry, but he's quite a way up there for this one. So he is the next man. And then we have 921 Sean Cooney. Not a name that we've really heard much about tonight. Then we have 50 Johnny Hammond, another one, as I said earlier on, from the Woolsey family. So that would be great to get all those guys on track together. And 84 Craig Durrant. Then we have 156 Austin Newell, 61 Dom Freeman, 148 Johan 148, and 362 Forks 46. And our last group is 57 Aaron McGrath, Gavin Murray, Cannonball himself, 95. I'll be disappointed to be way down there in the B final, I know. Then we have Wilkes, 111, And last of your B final runners is 296 Michael Barber, who's just been having some banter with Kiwi online. I've just noticed. I know they're great mates in real life, so that was quite fun. But I've been asked not to repeat anything I see on the online messenger chat.
So there's some names that you wouldn't expect to see in there normally, in the B final, which is going to make things interesting. We've got the likes of Lewis Willisey. We've got pretty much every single Wolsey that we've got in the league in there. Tim Close in the 89 car. This is going to be a difficult one to call, I would have thought, for who could potentially come out and pick up that 21st place spot for the A final. Sarah, you've had the longest of all of us to mull over the grid and who's on there. Who's your pick for final B?
Unless they get caught up in the scramble on the first couple of laps, I'm going for a Wolsey. I know I'm with my each way bets, as I mentioned earlier on. So yeah, I'm going for a Wolsey top 3. I'm going to say this time though.
Dom, you've got, as I said, some big names to choose from.
This is a bit of an interesting one. I wasn't expecting to see such big names down here. Wolsey missed out on the B final last week, but I think by a very small margin. So he's one who will be out for revenge. Lewis Willisey, championship leader, has to be said. You know, he will be wanting to get through. And yeah, Tim Close as well. And there's a few others in there for good measure that could completely upset things. So who knows who's going to do? Who knows who's going to get through?
So, it is going to be a mixed bag. I'm not even going to put a name on this one. I think we'll just have to sit back and enjoy it as the guys are making their way to the grid to line up for this, the final B, and it even says final in the top corner just for you there, Sarah. I've managed to get my myself together and actually change that. So
Thank you. I am just literally editing to try and get this on the messenger, the messengers from this evening's race. So just bear with me, guys. I'm going to see if I can get this to actually appear on the messages.
In the meantime, we've got cars lining up. Tim Close we're looking at there, sat behind Fabian Bauer, and the other man at the front. Can't see the number, just
bottom of the screen. That looks like that's Ryan Wolsey.
That is Ryan Wolsey. My apologies there. Yeah, missed out last week by not much. He'll be out for revenge this week, as I say. Hopefully he can get it sorted, get it done. But those two cars behind him of Close and Willisey, superstar drivers. He's going to be under a lot of pressure for sure.
So on board with Ryan Wolsey. You can hear the revs climbing now as we get underway, and they are going. Look at Damien Mulvey already making moves.
Close, I think, might just have the lead as we go through, although it's difficult to tell. They go Close around the outside.
No, it looks like it's Wolsey who's still keeping hold of it at the moment.
Wolsey has got off to a good start, and Willisey is there in third. This is crucial for Willisey. He really does need to get that B final victory and get himself into the A final. Unfortunate to see Gavin Murray retiring early on. Bad luck for him. He's just had another bad day at the office, I'm afraid. But so far we've got Ryan Wolsey leading. We've got Tim Close taking second, and Fabian 450 in third. Oh, we've got some cars round. Not sure who that was.
I didn't see who that was, but but Ryan's already doing pretty well for himself. He's got past Johnny McCoy in that yellow car, and so now has Lewis Willisey and Tim Close. Willisey up to second, and he's going to be chasing down. Let's watch that gap. It's at a second at the moment, and let's see whether or not Ryan can manage to hold on to that.
This is do or die for Willisey, as I said earlier, and he really does need to kick on the pace and try and get it to within a second, and then closer still. He'll be in the slipstream as he closes in, but right now he's got to make up the gap fair and square. few close bits of racing further back. Barber further down, sort of out the running. Sadly for him, he was another one who, if you look on the bottom of the screen, was in the championship race, the top 10.
Now I'm not sure why Fabian in that 450 car is still showing in joint second for some reason, because that's not the case. Lewis Willisey, and then you've got Tim Close behind. But
Again,
I'll
I'm
tell
not
you
sure what's
what,
happened with the timings, but he's over nearly two minutes behind according to that. So there's clearly something wrong there. But
Yeah,
Fabian
down in
450 is
15th he's shown on our timing screens, isn't he?
that's strange. Either way, I think we'll have to discount that for now. Still not coming up correctly. But Ryan Wolsey clearly with the lead. Willisey not gaining enough time at the moment, and well, this could be all over his evening. Tim Close is following there as well, just ready to pick up the pieces in case anything happens at the front. But at the moment, this seems very clearly like a Ryan Wolsey victory.
and Carl Waller-Barrett also doing well for himself. Damien Mulvey tucked in the pink car just behind. They've all got a fairly healthy gap between them actually. When you look at this, the next sort of closest battle that we've got is for these guys right here. That's Wooly Hardy in the 72 car and Sean Cooney in the 921 going up the inside of him there.
This being a 25 lap race, drivers are expected to space out a little bit more.
Wooly Hardy sideways, that was Craig Durrant in the Mini that also got caught up in that, and that looked like Johnny McCoy that spun as well. I think that was a result of some contact there.
Further contact, just causing chaos right at the back of the pack. Hopefully it's not going to get in the way of the leaders yet. I don't think they've caught up, but as I say that, there is Ryan Wolsey on the scene coming through. He's actually still got a good gap to Willisey, and in fact I think he's pretty much pulled away since the last time I looked. We were talking about Willisey getting it within a second. If anything, he now needs to get it back to 2 seconds.
There we go, we
Now
watch
lap 17, guys. Lap 17.
all stream through. Craig Durrant there still tussling with Wooly Hardy as we see Ryan Wolsey catching up to the back of Dom Freeman in that 61 car.
Yeah, the admin's just reminding some of the guys at the back of the pack just to watch their lines and let the leaders through.
Willisey getting through one of the cars there, but he's still got a lot of time to make up, and I'm not sure if he's going to do it. Just looking here, this is one of the Freemans.
This is Dom Freeman.
Behind.
Let's see how he reacts with Ryan Wolsey coming up the inside. Moves out wide there and lets Ryan through. That's the kind of thing that you'd expect to see from some of the guys, especially who've been racing a little while and get used to seeing the guys behind them in their mirrors.
Yeah, great racing from the back markers there, exactly what the admins want to see, and obviously we want to see as the followers too. We don't want any mishaps there.
Michael Barber in the 296 car, he's in 8th place at the moment, and he's trying to chase down Sean Cooney in the 921. You cannot miss the BDR 867 car, bright green, and let's look at this little pack just up in front. This is Damien Mulvey, and he's fighting with Carl Waller-Barrett and Tim Close. This is probably the closest racing action that we've got on the track at the moment.
Robbie just looking for the inside line there. He's sort of tapping around. Does he want the inside or the middle? But there's now another car joining in. The green car just behind them is going to join the party. BDR 867 as the other guys are tussling. He's going to make up that.
Just too late as the checkered flag is out on our 25 lap race. That looked like Johnny McCoy who was flying through the air at the end there. And, well, it didn't quite make it in the end. We were saying initially that we were waiting on Lewis Willisey to make up that 1 second gap that Ryan Wolsey had pulled out on him. I think it was near enough 3 seconds by the time the race actually finished. So very, very consistent and a good race from Ryan there, who was your shout out, I think, wasn't he, Sarah?
Yeah, well, I did kind of hedge my bets a little bit, as did a few of our followers on Facebook saying, go on the Irish. So just like me, they kind of took a group pack there of one nationality together. But yeah, Ryan's been there or thereabouts. And I know from the first week that we followed this from Birmingham, he was definitely one that surprised me with his fast moving pace coming through the groups.
So, Ryan Woolsey picking up the 21st grid spot for Final A. So he's going to be going through to Final A. It'll be quite nice to see. He should pick up some decent points coming through the racing this week. Any big surprises there for you, Dom, or did that go pretty much how you imagined it would?
I think I expected Willisey to creep up a little bit more. Ryan Woolsey is one of the top guys as well, 9th in the championship going into this meeting. So he couldn't be written off, but I just expected, Willisey with his consistency and all-round good pace, I just expected him to creep up that bit more and, take the win. But it just wasn't to be this week. Willisey's not had a good day. He's been caught up in incidents, sadly. But, he's he'll still be there for next week. He'll still be one of the ones to watch. He's not going to drop a grade over this. I think Woolsey deservedly getting that last position on the grid in the A final. He's got exactly what he deserved, and making up for last week where he missed out. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. This is obviously going to have big championship ramifications, but we've got to wait and see how others do. There's drivers in the A final, who are also going to cause big movements in the championship. I'm sure Daniel Erdl, 10th in the championship, he's going to move up thanks to this as well.
Now this is one that's something that I wouldn't have expected to see if you'd have asked me at the beginning of this evening. Lewis Willisey there in the B final and narrowly missing out. His brother Cameron has made it through this evening straight to the A final in the 143 car. His first week out racing. That's some pretty impressive racing that he's done so far this evening.
I think we need to really give him his credit as well. Daniel Erdl was last week. I think this week it is Cameron, and we have to keep an eye on him, watch him move up the grades. What were you going to say, Sarah, as well? Because he's been so impressive. I just want to hear everyone's opinions on him.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to. It is so good to see that it's not the same guys always at the front. This will encourage new people to come in, new racers to come in to join us. And it's just so nice to see somebody else, as you say, he's maybe got a little bit of family technicalities that he's had a bit of help with, but credit where credit's due. You have to actually keep on the black stuff and keep it going round. Just also wanted to give a little mention. As I say, I am following what the drivers are putting to each other, and I can't give too much away, but what is nice to see is the guys are all wishing each other good luck and thanking each other for good races as they're going through the battles throughout the night. So great sportsmanship in the online oval racing messaging group.
And that is nice to see, especially when you look at some of the ways that things have gone recently. If you've caught any of the news of what's happening esports wise with some of the professional drivers, so it is nice to see that that's not the kind of thing that is rolling over to us. Now I'm just going to go over the results before I hand back to our lady with the grid for the A final. So the results for the B final: Ryan Woolsey taking first place, Lewis Willisey in second, Tim Close in the 89 car rounding out the top three, with Carl Waller-Barrett, Damien Mulvey, BDR 867 and Sean Cooney 921 finishing in 7th. Michael Barber in the 296 car in 8th. Aaron McGrath, another one who's always been pretty consistently in and around the top 10 in the 57 car in 9th. And Dom Freeman, always nice to see in that, as we said, NASCAR-inspired car rounding out the top 10. Sarah, take it away.
So I was just having a little panic there that I hadn't got the grid, but I've had to scroll up about 300 messages to find the A final grid. And of course we do need to remember that Ryan Woolsey needs to go on the back here. So if I miss him off the end, it's because he's not on this list in front of me, because this was done before the B final. So this might be a controversial pole sitter. Joe Rollings 593. Did he win? Didn't he win earlier on? He definitely got one win that we know of. Did he get that second? We just don't know. Alongside him is going to be David Ryan in the 30 car. Then we have an Aylward, who the family have done well this evening. 46, Charlie Aylward 23 is his gaming name. Then we have 136, Cian O'Sullivan. Next is 143 Cammy, who you were just giving a shout out to, guys. And behind him is 434 Adam Cochrane. Then we have our man, Mr. Niall McFerrin, in the 910. So he's been started from back of the grid for the evening so far. So it might be a good chance for him to get the whole shot off the second, third, fourth row there. And alongside him will be Daniel Erdl, the 28 car, who we've also been discussing, had a really good weekend, really good night last Thursday. Next comes number 79, Mr. Potter. And then we've got Josh King, who was one of Dom's shout-outs earlier on in the evening in the 589. Then we have 78, Scotty 78. And then we have another Freeman. So this has got to be Dan Freeman this time round in the 606. Then our world champion, both online and on track, Mr. Derek Martin, number 20, of both this last few days and of years gone by. Then we have 715, Ronan O'Brien, 715. I have to be really careful not to call his gaming name. That might be taking a little bit not so well. I'll spell it. Ronanob is as much as we get of his name. So I have to be careful not to read that out because we have got some younger viewers. So just to finish off these last few riders, 102, Ricky Slater, and then Mr. Jason Q, who's at 174, or QE74, as we know him on here in his racing name. Last couple of rows go 193, Jan Kulansky, then Sean Jacklin in the number 11, and your back row for tonight is 73, Donovan Vorster, one of our European racers, and 122, Jordan Vovinkel. I know, speaking we said about some European races, we've also got some South Africans in there as well, I believe.
So we are riding on board at the moment with the final B winner, Ryan Wolsey. So you get to see what you see if you manage to win final B and get yourself lined up right at the back of final A. That's a pretty impressive array of cars that he's got in front of him that he's going to have to try and contend with if he wants to repeat his final B performance and get through to the top step of the podium. Any thoughts as they're about to start on this one, Dom?
Joe Rollins, I think, might be a good one to pay attention to. He's been cast in as a white grade, but he's been consistent and has definitely been up there pace-wise as well. Keep an eye on him, but the big names as well. Niall McFerrin looking to take that championship lead tonight. Let's see what he can do.
So you can hear the revs climbing, and we are underway for final A as we watch as Ryan Wolsey has to dive to the inside to avoid that 73 car. I say avoid, he then tagged him in the end anyway, and that's someone that spun out on the back in front of Ryan.
Oh, Wolsey did really well just to go around the side and then not clipped him. Oh, and another one.
I'm not sure who that is, but that's definitely going to be worth watching as the leaders come through. That's Scotty 78 that I saw parked up there.
It is Rollins still leading. Cochrane is in second, but O'Sullivan is going up the inside and has got through.
Charlie Aylward up into fourth place. He's definitely going to be worth watching as cars are going in all directions around those back corners, and Joe Rollins is taking the opportunity. He's already pulled out a 1 second gap, look.
Charlie Aylward has in fact lost places. He started third on the grid and he's now seventh, so he has in fact lost places.
Niall McFerrin in there, tucked in that up to fourth.
I think Cameron 143 is the one that we need to look at now. He is now within a second, and he was starting a little bit further back as well. He's made up positions, he's cut through into the top three, and is now chasing down Joe Rollins for that lead position.
Daniel Erdl up to sixth place as we come round to start lap 8, and that looks like Cameron Vorster that's going across the middle there, hopefully rejoining as he is pulling over at the side, trying to stay out of everyone's way. As we see Joe Rollins coming down the straight and into the corner now, with Cameron Willisey definitely closing that gap down to half a second now.
Somebody trying to rejoin there by the starter's gantry, and he's gone again.
McFerrin obviously following with him. Look how close they are getting to Joe Rollins.
Joe Rollins looking back here, yeah.
This is not something that I think he'd have wanted to see, but it was going to happen. The superstars, they've been so organised, so good at getting through the packs tonight. It was inevitable that they were going to reach him. Fingers crossed Rollins can defend, but Willisey, Cameron that is certainly one of the faster guys out there, and hopefully...
And he's going to take the opportunity.
Traffic's paid havoc. And
now McFerrin as well is having a look.
Say McFerrin is going to go through as well. They have very much freight trained up the inside, and they've taken that advantage. I think Rollins put off a little bit by Vorster, having to get go round him up the inside.
And now Erdl's at the stage where he's going to have to get past Vorster.
Exactly that, and McFerrin trying to challenge for the lead. Cameron Willisey sticking tight to the inside, but currently it's any of these three could win. It's so close. Rollins is still keeping touch as well. We can't write him off.
On board with Niall McFerrin now.
We've lost Scotty 78. To be fair, this is good gamesmanship. Couldn't reverse off, so had to leave, else I'd be in the way. So good gamesmanship there, Scotty. So we didn't cause a mess for anyone else's race.
And this is a leading pack of 3, as there was a car that was spun out just there on the right-hand side. All still within touching distance.
I think the spun car might have been Ryan Woolsey, but that was just by going off the colours. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, this top 3, as you say, Gav, they're all very close, and you could throw a blanket over all 3 of them at points in this race. It has been really close stuff, and as they come into the closing stages, it's still anyone's game for the win out of this top 3.
Coming round now to start lap 19. That's going to be 6 laps left. The leading 2 just pulling away from Joe Rollins ever so slightly, but we still have to wait and see what the traffic ahead of them does and what kind of effect it has. It definitely affected things earlier on with these guys getting past Joe Rollins as someone spins in front of Cameron Willisey there.
Certainly been a scary moment, but I think it was just far enough ahead that it wouldn't have interrupted their pace.
Niall McFerrin having a look around the outside.
It's too stopped on the inside.
Vorster again. Vorster's definitely been involved in a few incidents which have definitely changed the shape of things in this A final.
McFerrin using all the track there, forcing Willisey to try and he's forcing him up the inside to ensure that he holds that position. Trying to go wide mid-corner and then carry the speed. It just doesn't seem to be working. Willisey has it all covered at the moment.
He's just giving a little love tap, isn't he? Just letting Cammy know he's there.
There's only going to be a couple of laps left. It's definitely going to be...
really play their part here. They want to be careful they don't get in the way of these 2 guys who are flying.
Now, Vorster's moved outside there. Yannick Kalansky is the guy that they are going past at the moment. He knows what he's doing, so I'd imagine he'd probably stay out of the way, I say, as he tags Cameron Willisey down the straight.
I think they're just stable enough that wouldn't have done any real damage.
Is Niall McFerrin going to be able to do it at the final lap? Not quite, and wow, what a gap that was. 0.11 I saw as those 2 crossed the line between Cameron Willisey and Niall McFerrin.
On the winner's rostrum.
You can't get much closer than that.
That was incredibly close. Those 2 had been fighting all throughout. I think it was well deserved by Cameron Willisey. McFerrin really gave him a run for his money, but it just couldn't square up the car enough, just couldn't get through as they came down the home straight for that last time.
You could literally throw a sheet over the pair of them, couldn't you? They were that close just then over the final stages and the final couple of laps, and just managed to hold on, did Cammy. So well done for keeping an eye out for that one, Gav, that he was your man you were watching this evening. So fair play to him for a great final A. As we've said before, this is his first evening in here. He's no stranger to gaming, but you've still got to take on the other guys on track when it matters, and he did just that.
Cameron will hopefully, well, there's no hopefully about it. Cameron will be out in a liveried car next week, so we'll be able to spot him a little easier. But yeah, fantastic driving. What a final. I apologise in advance for the fact that we didn't get to see much more of some of the other drivers, but when you have the leading pair that close, you just can't take your eyes off them.
Yeah, there were gains up and down the field. You can see Daniel Erdl made his way up to 4th, putting more points on the board. Derek Martin there in 6th as well. He had quite a difficult starting position, but he's made up some places as well. And yeah, he will have put points on the board. Josh King and Ricky Slater there together at Aylwood, and Sean Jacklin rounding out the top 10 as well.
So Donovan Vorster is another one that I think I want to bring up for us to discuss, who affected that race quite a bit, but probably not in the way that he would have wanted to if he'd have had his ideal choice. He seemed to get caught up in a few little incidents at the back there, which I think then actually spilled over to some of the leading cars. I think he was definitely involved when Willisey and Niall McFerrin got past Joe Rollins into the lead. Yeah.
Yeah, the South African there, as I said, sort of mid commentary, was definitely going to play his part if he wasn't careful. He was trying to get out of the way, to be fair to him, but Hednesford won't be a track that he necessarily knows from proper racing, so he would have had to have done all his research online for this one. Just maybe needed to give a little bit wider gap, but this is something these guys will keep on learning about as they practice more and go through more race setups.
Definitely. This being, I can't remember whether or not I don't think he did come out and race last week. He was signed up to, but I don't think he actually made it in to race. No, Vorster did. Sorry, it was Vovinkel who didn't make it in last week. But still, even so, two meetings in, and these guys, I mean, especially when you look and you get into the final, these guys are racing so close together. I mean, what do we say? 0.11 seconds between first and second place. I mean, that's pretty impressive, no matter what sort of series you're racing. But yeah, I can see he'll definitely he'll more than likely improve as the weeks continue. But it's just unfortunate. I think that he got caught up in a few incidents tonight, and it played a part. It's racing. It shaped a very enjoyable evening that we had to watch. So.
How many times in real life racing have we seen the back markers get, not necessarily wanting to get involved, but the faster guys come through, and sometimes you panic, sometimes you're watching in your mirror instead of watching what's in front of you, sometimes you're listening in your ears because just as they have on online racing, they've got the admins talking in their ears, as they have in real life racing with their race receivers. So there's a lot of concentration. I'll take my hat off to anybody who races. I actually tried this for myself at the weekend. They're inviting on Sunday afternoons. They're giving a couple of hours over where the non-regular runners can maybe sort of come online and go on in place of the regular guys. They're letting their wives and children go on. And yes, I did try and go around Hednesford. Not very successfully last Sunday, and as I mentioned, my 4-year-old little boy, who is a mad fan of Chris Crane, he did a lot better than me, I must be honest. Was hoping to race against Chris. Let's see if we can get that sorted for this weekend. And so anybody with partners and children, shouldn't necessarily say wives, because all sorts of setups as we know in the world these days, but any partners or children wanting to have a go, that's something we are hoping to open up again this Sunday afternoon, so that you can have a little play.
Completely agree with that. That was a great idea by the admin teams on that side of things. We have all the guys who race, and I know full well, having looked at the server sometimes in between races when the practicing is going on, that a lot of these guys are putting a huge amount of time into coming on and just turning laps. So it's nice that you can include the rest of the family, partners, children. Why not put your dog on your racing rig and let them turn a few laps in a virtual national hot rod? So It's
Yeah, I think my dog would be the sleeping policeman. He's a bit old these days, so he'd run around with a good one for a couple of laps, and then he'd probably have a little sleep, I think.
There we go, Dom. You weren't overly sure last week, whether or not you fancy jumping in and having a go. So Sunday would be the ideal time for you to jump on, and even if it's just mashing keys or a controller, you can go and turn some laps, and you haven't got to worry about the likes of Lewis Willisey and or Cameron Willisey appearing on your rear bumper and pushing you around the track.
I think to a degree, I'd like to, but for now, with the bare basic setup I have, I don't think I'd be anywhere near good enough. And at heart, I am such a competitive person that I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to only show half my hand as such. If I was going to do something like this, I would want to go all out, and I would. That's so. Yeah, I'll consider it, but I'm not going to put anything on the table. Last week you said I might do it, and we might have a commentary race. Who knows? But I'm going to hold fire for now. We'll think about it going forward, and we
So
might have to organise something come the end of the season.
definitely. Let's have one final recap then of tonight's final A results. First place, Cameron Willisey, Cammy 143, 0.11 seconds behind Niall McFerrin. That was worth it in its own right, if nothing else. Joe Rollins with a very good race. He didn't manage to hang on, unfortunately. I think that the traffic definitely played a part in that. Picks up the final step on the podium. Daniel Erdl in fourth place and Adam in fifth place. Derek Martin in sixth. So he will definitely be picking up some points this week, and I think it's going to be an interesting one to see how that looks at the top of the championship leaderboard. Ricky Slater in seventh. He's going to be gaining some points this week as well. Josh King in eighth. Charlie Elwood in ninth place. That's not bad going at all. And I tell you what, the Elwoods, that's definitely going to be a name that you guys are going to want to be looking out for in races coming up in the future. Sean Jacklin in the number 11 car, rounding out your top 10 for Final A. So, guys, we've had it's been another evening. We've had some technical difficulties. We've had some fantastic racing. We've had some crashing and some spinning. Sarah, if you could pick a
Yeah.
moment from this evening, what is your favourite moment?
I feel like I'm repeating myself from last week, but those last few laps of that A final were outstanding. Yes, these guys are doing it on various setups of computer, but to keep those cars going round as closely as they did, with top respect for each other, Niall McFerrin, like us, he's probably never seen Cammy before, and all of a sudden he had a new guy in front of you. When you race week in week out with the same guys, you almost get to know who you can trust and not trust to keep a line. So that would have been a surprise for him, but top respect for these guys. So good for that last result. And Daniel Erdl had a good race, didn't he? He's been a bit quiet tonight, but getting fourth in that final is going to have picked him up a few good points there for the championship standings.
Definitely. Dom, I dare you to pick something other than the last 5 laps of Final A.
I was going to say there was one moment that sticks in the memory, but for comedic reasons, was you instantly cursing one of the drivers in one of the heats. Just as you literally mentioned them, they go backwards into the wall right in front of us. I couldn't remember which driver it was off the top of my head, but that was one that stuck out as a memory. Just looking at the way it's all come about though and how it's finished, I'm no mathematician, but McFerrin will definitely have the championship lead after today. Martin, there or thereabouts, that sixth place position will earn him some vital points, but it won't put any gains on McFerrin. Daniel Erdl was 10th. He'll be moving up as well. I know that Wolsey was in 9th, but he's not in that top 10, but he'll definitely have earned some points in that final, I think. It could have, there's quite a few changes that are going to be that have been there. Sorry, there's quite a few changes that have come through in this final, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it's all going to play out, and how this is going to form a championship chase. create a real excitement and buzz around the season.
Definitely, it's gonna tighten things up, and we're gonna end up with some I'd imagine very close racing, which could make a huge difference into how people are going to race, even in the heats itself, and who they're going to be scrapping with, who they're likely to get their elbows out when they're going up against. So just across the bottom of the screen now, you can see the championship standings as it was coming out of last week. So this won't take into account what we have or what the drivers will have picked up from this week, but it means you can see Lewis Willisey. So him not having the ideal of events this evening, we're very much thinking that he is no longer going to be sat on top of the championship table, and instead I think we can probably expect that man there, as Dom very rightly said, Niall McFerrin, to be sitting on top of the championship table as we go into round 4. So,
So
final
just
thoughts.
mentioned, yeah, I
Oh,
was just to say, just mentioned round 4. That comes from Nuts Corner in Ireland next week. So that is not a track I'm familiar with. I have never been myself. All the rounds so far, I'm familiar with the tracks. I've been there many a time, but Nuts Corner I know nothing about. So either of you been there? Dom, I'm guessing you're the more likely out of the three of us.
You say that I've not travelled to any stock car venues outside this country, and it wasn't long ago that I hadn't travelled anywhere outside of East Anglia. So, no, Nuts Corner I'm not hugely aware of. I know that there was a shale venue there as well, but again, that's mainly because of my banger knowledge. Nuts Corner as a hot rod venue, I'll have to see how it looks. I'll have to go into the game and possibly do a bit of scouting myself. I'm presuming it's not banked like Hednesford. It's one of the only on the calendar like that, but it will be interesting to see. Good to make use of all the Irish tracks as the English ones. We're going to Scotland as well, so yeah, we'll have to see. I'm not hugely aware of it, I'm afraid, but I'm open to seeing what it's like.
well,
A
that
little
makes I was going to say that makes 3 of us, because I'm none the wiser on it as well. So
I was just going to drop out a little fact that when I was thinking about this evening earlier on, I thought I must drop in my one and only fact I know about Hednesford racetrack and how it came about from the one and only Nick Thomas, who was a great man at Speedworth. Fortunately, no longer with us, but his son Dom Freeman is racing. So Nick told me, actually at Hednesford at a race meeting many years ago, how this track was created from a former reservoir. It was built apparently for World War II to service water to the West Midlands and Staffordshire and all of that kind of area. So, and that is how it gets its shape basically from the bowl. It was a reservoir.
so it was good racing that we had this evening. Now, just quickly before we do finish up, if any of you guys are interested in joining the guys racing the national hot rods here at Online Oval Racing, you can do so. Look us up on Facebook. Look up Online Oval Racing. If you're watching us on Facebook, you've already found us. It's brilliant. That's half the battle won. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you head over there. We've got a great community there, guys, who will point you in the right direction. And also check out our website, which is www.onlineovalracing, all one word, .co.uk. On there is where you can sign up to be a driver. And who knows, maybe we could be seeing your name up in and among the Cameron Willises and Niall McFerrin in a couple of weeks' time. So, from myself and from Sarah and from Dom, it's been fantastic having you with us this evening. Please drop us some comments on the YouTube video, on the Facebook video. We love to hear your feedback and try and make things better for you guys to watch week in, week out. Next week, 8:30 on Thursday, Nuts Corner, we are going to be going for round number 4. So from myself, from Sarah, and from Dom, we will see you all then.